always shining bright. People are smiling, making plans, hiding behind their shades, and you're doing the same. No rain, no flowers, nothing's growing where your heart is fire. But baby, I bet you're cold without me, even when it's 90 degrees. Without me, I bet that you can get any sleep in that bed, lying awake. Cause I'm not there beside you, keeping you warm, and I know I bet you're cold. You're so damn cold. It never rains in California. The sun is always shining bright. But if the sky would open up, you're staying home, you don't get out. You always used to love the rain, but LA changed you. No rain, no flowers, nothing's growing where your heart is fire. But baby, I bet you're cold without me, even when it's 90 degrees. Without me, I bet that you can get any sleep in that bed, lying awake. Cause I'm not there beside you, keeping you warm, and I know I bet you're cold. You're so damn cold. I bet you're cold. You're so damn cold. No rain, no flowers, nothing's growing where your heart is fire. But baby, I bet you're cold without me, even when it's 90 degrees. Without me, I bet that you can get any sleep in that bed, lying awake. Cause I'm not there beside you, keeping you warm, and I know I bet you're cold. You're so damn cold. It never rains in California. The sun is always shining bright. I know that I haven't been who I was. I am supposed to be the one you can trust. I feel so useless cause I let you down. I hope there's some way I can make it alright. Cause I know that you deserve much more than this. If you give me one more chance, I swear I'll try my best to always be there. And I want you to know that I'm lost without you. I'm no without you. I hope I can show what you mean to me. Cause I don't know what to do if you go. Ooh. I just don't know what to do if you go. I've been so selfish and made you believe that you're not good enough, but you're all I need. I'll take you places that you've never been. I would give you the world if you let me try again. Yeah, just give me one more chance. I swear I'll try my best to always be there. And I want you to know that I'm lost without you. I'm no without you. I hope I can show what you mean to me. Cause I don't know what to do if you go. I just don't know what to do. You go.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and a very good morning to all. Welcome to the PLCT Transformation Program webinar series 2023. Today will be the last webinar under this series that we would like to end with a high note by having a very interesting subject to be presented today entitled Enterprise 5G Reshaping Industry Dynamics in Digital Transformation. I'm happy to be here this morning and hope everybody's excited like I am today. My name is Maizatulliza Zakaria from Corporate Strategy Division of Bursa, Malaysia. I'm also part of the PLC Transformation Team member. Okay, before we begin, let me please allow me to go through some housekeeping rules to ensure the smooth seminar this morning. Okay, to prevent interruptions, in order to have a smooth session today, we have muted everyone's microphone. But don't worry, there will be a question and answer session after the presentation. But in the meantime, if you happen to have burning questions that you want to raise during the presentation, you can do so. You can use the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen if you need to ask questions or you would like to place your comments to our speaker today. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's newspaper, in fact, I just ran through, Malaysia was named one of the top 3 5G network performers in the world after United Arab Emirates and South Korea. You see, this rapid technology has rapidly transformed our digital landscape. But organization still faces a few obstacles in reshaping the organization. Hence, let's find out how we can leverage on this 5G technology to help revolutionize your business, overcome industry challenges, and reshape the economy. We are very delighted today to have TM here again with us for for our last webinar for the year. And TM has been our champion for PLC transformation program under Guidebook 4, which is being digitally enabled. It's amply timely for TM to be on board with us. It's been very supportive, and I would like to record our sincere thank to TM for your support so far and look forward for more exciting collaborations next year. Back to today's webinar. It is focused on transformative power of 5G and the benefits and opportunities of 5G that it has to offer to our businesses. Okay, before we start the webinar, I'm so excited to introduce our speaker today, Encik Nor Hisham Md Nordin. Hi, Encik Hisham, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Puan Mai. Alhamdulillah, I'm good here.
I'm so happy to be able to moderate this session with you. Though I'm very nervous, to be moderating, to be asking questions with someone with massive experience like yourself. And I'm not a tech person, so I hope I do not get any lingo wrong whenever we interact, Cik Sham.
No worries, Puan Mai. It's not going to be that technical. I mean, we're just going to have a very casual session here discussing about the topics.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, Cik Sham, allow me a few minutes. I really have to go through your resume, ladies and gentlemen, everyone joining us today. Encik Hisham here has a massive resume that I just have to read to all of you. Just a quick one. Encik Hisham is the General Manager of Mobile and Wireless TM1. Currently, Encik Hisham serves as the Head of Mobile and Wireless Division, where he champions enterprise private 5G initiatives within the country. He orchestrates these endeavors at TM1, the enterprise and government solution arm of Telecom Malaysia. With over 30 years career in the telco industry, Encik Hisham experience encompasses both fixed and mobile technologies. Over the years, he has undertaken pivotal regional leadership roles with technology and network service providers including Ericsson Malaysia, Ericsson Bangladesh, Ericsson Vietnam, Uzmacom Uzbekistan, and Telecom Malaysia. During his tenure, Encik Hisham has achieved remarkable milestones such as leading the team responsible for establishing and operating Uzbek inaugural GSM network as the technical director. He also spearheaded the team that secured a groundbreaking 200 million US dollars, everyone, greenfield 3G technology deal in Bangladesh, serving as the technical director. Furthermore, he assumed the role of a business development director and played a key part in clinching the mobile soft switch deal in Vietnam. With that background, I think it is amped and it is more suitable for Encik Hisham as our speaker for this morning session. Now, moving along to our session, I'm sure everybody's excited to hear Encik Hisham instead of me yapping. So, Encik Hisham, the screen is yours. Thank you, Encik Hisham.
Thank you so much, Pamai, for the kind words. Yes, Assalamualaikum and good morning. Today we are, going to cover or discuss about enterprise 5G in reshaping industry dynamics in digital transformation. So, before we dive into the topics, maybe let's spend a few minutes talking about this guy, Sarul Amin. He made 33.5 million sales in 3 years. He started 3 years ago selling sambal, as everyone aware, and he started on TikTok shop early this year, and in September he claimed that he has made 5 million sales over TikTok. The bag kuning ataupun the yellow bag, the small yellow bag. And when he did that, he said 3 times conversion rate in terms of sales within that engagement. And then in one of the recent, what they call 1 hour TikTok live that he did, he raised or he captured 200,000 ringgit in sales. So this just to give the what they call perspective of how mobile devices reshape the small and medium enterprise in the country as well as global. Because it's so easy. You can reach user or customer easily in easy manner in order to capture and turn your fan base into sales, for example. Okay, that will give a bit of illustrate a bit of how mobile platform basically improves or reshape the dynamics of SME in the country as well as global. All right, let's talk about today's topic, enterprise 5G, how it affects or improves the industrial revolution as well as the digital transformation, right? Okay, let's clear up the what you call the terminology first. In terms of digital transformation, from the definition, simply it's about having a comprehensive integration of digital technologies, leveraging digital tools, data analytics, automation. All these are innovative technologies to ensure or to optimize business processes, enhance customer experience, and adapt to evolving market dynamics. If you look on the right screen, quite logical and similar to any other transformation. Normally it goes with these 3 pillars, basically people, process, and technology. You want to really what you call have all 3. Sorry, you don't want to leave one out of these 3. You need to have people, process, and technology, the sweet spot in the middle there. For the digital transformation to be successful, you don't want to have only people and process without technology. Things are not going to be as efficient. If you have people and technology without processes, things gonna get haywire. As well as if you have process and technology without people, in many cases that you cannot just rely on process and technology, and some decisions are made without human interference. Sometimes it's not going well, right? So that is on digital transformation. Let's cover a bit on the industrial revolution before we jump into 5G. Okay, we have seen the industrial revolution started IR 1.0, for example, in the 1700s. These are the water and steam power era, and mechanical. So you can see a steam engine and things like that. Then in 1800s, IR 2.0 comes in. This is where you have electricity. Then you can start to have mass production, factories, and so on and so forth. Early 70s, you see that you've seen that IR 3.0, this is the time whereby we have automation and electronics and computers, but then not so much on intelligent as we see today, but very much, running the repetitive tasks or jobs for human. So machine becomes computers, electronics, machine becomes the medium for the automation. Okay, when we have IR 4.0 today, definitely, I mean, the industry has to adapt one way or another on IR 4.0. Otherwise, you become irrelevant and then left behind in relation to those who adopt IR 4.0. Okay, what is IR 4.0? It is a cyber physical thing. I mean, you have a merge between cyber and physical, as we've seen there, Internet of Things or IoT, having a networking. Everything is connected today. Everything is connected, and then between machine to machine, machine to human, and so on and so forth. So this is industrial revolution per se, right? Okay, then let's jump into mobile evolution we have seen so far for the past many decades. Early 80s, we have seen the first generation of mobile. This is the foundation of mobile telephony, still in analog, what they call system, quite bulky. Those who have seen it before, we have this what we call a huge portable analog phone running on very low spectrum, like 450 in Malaysia, for example. If you remember, we have this R2 450, and we have this huge and expensive car phone installed inside the car, for example. This is the early 80s. Yeah? And then 10 years later, you can see 2G, the second generation of mobile coming in. And this is the time whereby things get digital and become smaller and a bit more affordable to many people. Right, and the killer application for this, if you talk about first generation, it's all about voice. Second generation or 2G, you start to see another killer application pop up, which is SMS or texting. You can start to see people are texting using the phone to text one another while walking on the street, and so on and so forth. Right, and then a decade later, push 10 years ahead. Then 3G came in. So 3G is considered as the foundation of mobile broadband, whereby you can do streaming and also what do you call emailing and things like that over small devices. The experience was not that good yet. Battery life was very poor. Screen was not that impressive. I mean, you still have this pixelated screen. So user experience was not so great, but still that's the foundation of the mobile broadband. Okay, today we have what we call LTE, also known as 4G, in early 2010. This is the mobile broadband enhanced. Then the user experience become way better than the predecessor 3G. This is the time whereby you can start to see vloggers or influencers start to make money out of it, because more and more users are using mobile, and then the user experience is getting way better. Anyhow, when we see this first generation all the way to fourth generation today, these are the evolution of voice, data, and radio, a slow evolution. And they are addressing more on the consumer needs per se. But when 5G is designed, it has been natively designed to address industry from the design phase. So if we talk about 5G, is to embrace network society. So before you see the devices are focusing on consumer, and it's all about mobile phones. And today, when you talk about 5G, then of course it goes beyond mobile devices. It goes beyond mobile phones. We talk about devices, multiple of devices, many connected devices per se for 5G. Okay, if we talk about 5G, On the left side of the screen, you can see these are the three defined features per se. So you can see EMBB, EMTC, and LLC. EMBB being enhanced mobile broadband, it will address the speed, the throughput for both downlink and uplink. MMTC is all about having millions of connected devices in a single area, and URLC to ensure an ultra reliable and low latency network. So if you can see on the right side of the screen, for example, today you can have up until 10 gigabit per second, for example, for uplink, and 20 gigabit per second for downlink. Of course, this comes with a certain range of spectrum availability. I mean, on the higher side of spectrum, normally we have a bigger bandwidth and so on and so forth that allow this type of speed to come in. And then you can see thousands to million of devices per kilometer squared. I mean, today in LTE, you cannot even achieve maybe close to mid-thousands, for example. So with 5G, there will be connected devices, millions of connected devices are possible. And then, of course, you know, the quality of packet transfer, as you can see there, 5 nines on the right side. Then, of course, you know, in terms of user experience, even though the peak throughput is high, as mentioned earlier, we can see 10 to 100 megabit easily achievable as a user experience average. And then we have what we call IoT, or machine-to-machine devices, sensors and things like that for smart cities, for machine in the industry, for factories and so on and so forth, that would require loads of sensor that last, the battery life lasts for years, being the reason that you want to deploy all these sensors throughout the you know, use cases, by ensuring that you don't have to visit the sensors weekly or monthly, for example. Then we have this possibility of having low powered sensors that last for years. And of course, when we start to look into more and more use cases and application, the accuracy of position, when you do this what you call position based application, you will require to have a bit more accuracy from day to day. So this 5G will allow that to happen. And latency wise, which is critical in production critical, in mission critical use cases, we can achieve a sub 10 milliseconds today. And of course, availability that relates to the reliability of the services, again shows in the screen over there, 99.999 or 59. And of course, last but not least, is about security. I mean, the legacy of the mobile enhancement or upgrade from year to years, we have seen that security is one of the main factor in mobile network, right? Yeah, that's in a nutshell what is 5G features all about in relate to how it helps the industry. Okay, if we were to summarize, what are the key success factors when it comes to the network itself and to deploy 5G in the country? On the left side of the screen, you can see that's the key requirements. Obviously, first and foremost, you need a national telecommunication policy on the 5G, as well as availability of the frequency spectrum. I think the country has done a good job in terms of refarming the frequency to allow some of the frequency identified for 5G rollout. Right. Okay. At the second row there, you can see those are the network element, the key network element that is for us to deploy 5G. We're talking about cloud to restart all the use cases, 5G core network. In every what you call a generation, we always have core network, and of course, when 5G comes in, we need to refresh the core network. Transport, the backbone, the IP network that is connected core to the edge as well as to the radio access. And of course, edge computing. You need that in 5G. Maybe not so much in LTE, but in 5G, you need more and more edge computing. I will explain that in a bit later. And then we have 5G radio access network, obviously, the base station that we see. And nowadays you can see a very lower height of base station throughout the city. You can see that this, lamppost height of base station with antennas and so on and so forth. Obviously, those are the network component, but then of course it comes with professional skills. You need that skill set to deploy 5G. Is quite different as compared to what we have seen in LTE and so on and so forth. So this is need to be uplifted. The skill has to be uplifted in order to deploy 5G. And on top of this, obviously, the application and use cases. Otherwise, you create a very huge highway without traffic, for example. So use cases and applications is a one main factor in order to really leverage 5G technology. Okay, if we talk about TM specific, what we have done so far, when it comes to cloud, we have this Cloud Alpha Edge at TM1. This is the only one cloud service provider locally deployed from the local. Apart from 3 others, American cloud service providers. And then at the same time, before 5G coming into the country, we have refreshed our IP transport. We call it next generation transport. This is to ensure that we redesign the IP backbone to ensure latency from one point to another point in Malaysia is within the limit that we would like to have. So this is completed and being used now for 5G deployment. And then of course, what is also important, as I mentioned earlier, that when it comes to 5G, you want some sort of edge facility throughout the country. Edge basically designed to bring content closer to the user, to ensure low latency achieve. You need all this, and then we have quite a number. Comes to 800, close to 800 to 900 brick and mortar exchanges before serving telephony, which we are turning into edge facility. So today we have more than 10, if I'm not mistaken, edge facility that we can offer to all the use cases and operation that is needed for 5G and any other technology when it comes to bringing content closer to the user. So that is happening at the moment. Okay, let's touch upon deployments, what we have seen so far in the country as well as globally. Let's take some example here. Okay. All right. On the screen, I'm sharing what we just launched about a month ago by 2 p.m. di Malam Perdana Menteri. The private 5G nearshore platform in RGTSU, at RGTSU, regasification terminal Sungai Udang Melaka, owned by Petronas. So we deploy private 5G there successfully, and then we are bringing in fixed wireless access. We are bringing in tablets and also cameras by Petronas to serve these platforms as a step towards remote and autonomous operation. We deployed this late last year, and then this is basically the first in the country. And when it comes to oil and gas provider, this could be the first in the region. So obviously, we are bringing in, together with Petronas, we are bringing in more and more use cases to the platforms to leverage the connectivity, 5G connectivity there. And we are also deploying more and more sites. For example, in this case, private 5G campus network, not just looking at OT needs like IoT and so on and so forth, but also on the IT needs of the area of the facilities. Basically, more or less transforming the land needed in IT domain into 5G, right? Another example, 5G automated 5G AGV or automated guided vehicle. This is another use cases. One of the use cases that's quite popular in factory or warehouse setup globally, whereby they are, LiDAR and also SLAM are using for as use cases. When we have this setup, normally you want to have the computing power reside somewhere in the server rather than on the AGV itself, because the AGV is designed in such a small physical dimension, and you don't want to have a huge servers or computers resides on it. And then what you do basically leverage the 5G uplink and downlink capabilities or bandwidth to do this. And as you see there, latency also play a big role here. You want to have 15 millisecond latency, less than 15 millisecond latency to ensure or to avoid collision among the AGVs and also the what you call structure and so on in surrounding, right? So this is one of the example that we are doing this over 5G, right? And then we have what we call digital twin. In this case, Airbus, they are using 5G AR and VR with digital twin. If you've seen the example that we have seen so far, we can see that how we leverage 5G is that we need a high throughput and low latency features of 5G. High throughput meaning that not just for the downlink, but in these cases of digital twin and also with AGV just now, we need high bandwidth for the uplink signal, which LTE is not designed for. So far, LTE, for example, and the previous generation, the design was to serve or to give more downlink capabilities to the user, being the user is using TikTok or Facebook or what you call YouTubing and things like that. So now when we talk about industrial needs, more and more uplink bandwidth are needed, and 5G is designed for that. So AR, VR, in this case, with digital twin used for design, planning, training, debugging, and so on and so forth. So you can see with your AR, VR glasses, for example, I mean, there are anomalies in the machine. For example, eyeballing doesn't detect it, but with the algorithm at the back running live, you can have live what you call alarm and also notification if something is not right there, for example. So that's one of the idea of having this AR, VR with digital twin, right? Another example, I think this is another vertical that is coming in rapidly when it comes to leveraging private 5G, which is the private 5G for smart ports. So normally, before this, all the cranes are operated by pilots, and they are basically having to pilot each and every cranes today manually. And then with 5G coming in, many of the ports globally have started to look into this and then converting from manual to autonomous and centralized, meaning that you have a few pilots reside in the control center instead of over the crane itself. So one pilot can manage multiple cranes, not just that, and all becomes automated and then managing from remote. So you can imagine what sort of cost saving having there, and then avoid lots of human errors and things like that. And obviously this can be done over wired. The problem is over wired wear and tear is becoming quite costly. Number one. Number two, the design of the ports becomes so rigid. You cannot, the movement is become limited, and so on and so forth. So if you talk about smart ports, The idea is to have hundreds of cameras in order for you to ensure the remote and autonomous operation becomes smooth. And if you have hundreds of cameras in these areas, you could need a lot of bandwidth, which LTE cannot deliver today. So that's the reason why 5G becomes so important for this type of industries. So you can have a lot of camera sensors and also a mix of IT needs like tablets, smart scanners. There's a lot of scanners happening in the ports for sure. And you need to feed this information, loads of information, not just what you call telemetry kind of information, but also images and also sometimes video streaming. So that's how 5G becomes so important in the industry, especially in this case of smart ports, right? Yeah, another example, I think what is quite popular now globally, we can see the trend to go for 5G smart factory. I mean, this will increase efficiency of the factory floor operation for sure. Again, similar case like smart ports, but this is confined in factory indoor, for example. You're going to have lots of AGVs and also automated inspection using AV and VR. All these have similar issues before. When you want to turn factory to automation, you will require, I mean, there's no debate that wireless can do better than wired. I mean, obviously, in some of the use cases earlier, in some of the cases earlier before 5G come in, facility like this tend to go for Wi-Fi as a solution. Wi-Fi, the only issues with Wi-Fi, I mean, if you have one or two access point, maybe it works quite well. But then when you start to have a condensed what they call requirement, then it becomes to have interference and things like that, whereby it's not addressed by Wi-Fi. It is basically well addressed by mobile. And for that reason, instead of Wi-Fi, people are turning in, industry are turning into LTE/5G. And 5G comes in a better way, as I mentioned just now, due to the lots of uplink requirement by the use cases. For example, in this case, cameras and so on and so forth, whereby you will keep on feeding live images or streaming of videos back to the server, for example. Right? So those are some of the what you call example real use cases of 5G in the country as well as globally. All right, maybe before we end and goes into Q&A mode, I think good for us to just to highlight a bit here the misconception of 5G that we have seen when we discuss this with the customers and users. There are basically some misconception happening in 5G. One of them, for example, 5G replaces optical fiber. I mean, obviously, there are cases whereby we can use 5G because of its high speed in comparison to optical fiber. But the whole idea is that that's not going to be the case for sure. We'll be needing optical fiber even more when we talk about 5G. Every base station of 5G, instead of backhauling using microwaves, for example, I think this is the time that whereby you need to drop microwaves and then really go for optical fiber in order to get the what you call high throughput and also low latency as we speak. All right. I mean, there are cases whereby when optical fiber is not there, then 5G becomes a good access replacement for sure. For example, FWA is getting popular globally, especially in the US, whereby optical fiber reach it's not that impressive. And when you have 5G coverage there, then obviously you can leverage 5G coverage to serve mobile broadband or broadband to the home even, right? Or this, to SMEs and offices. And then the next one, 5G replaces Wi-Fi. This is another myth, I think. I mean, 5G doesn't really replace Wi-Fi per se. I mean, Wi-Fi will be there to serve what Wi-Fi suit to serve. 5G will serve the WAN, for example, or wireless WAN. When it comes to LAN, still, I mean, in many deployment, Wi-Fi is still going to be there for a long time. 5G replaces the LTE. I mean, when 5G comes in, it's not a zero-sum game, definitely. LTE will still be there. In fact, today still there are LTE sites being deployed. 5G will be needing, and then will be go hand in hand with the LTE. There are areas that 5G is not that economical for us to serve. Then LTE will do the role, for example. And then of course, private 5G replaces public 5G. So if you hear from the beginning of the discussion, basically we are talking pretty much on enterprise 5G, which I interchange in terms of terminology with private 5G. So enterprise 5G, private 5G. But then of course, I mean, we have what we have seen today, public 5G being deployed throughout the country. So, private 5G doesn't really replace public 5G as simple as that. I mean, we have private 5G meant for certain industries, some verticals like oil and gas, manufacturing, ports, for example. It doesn't really replace public 5G. Public 5G is for the consumer, and also one day when we have advanced towards a new feature of 5G like network slicing and so on and so forth, then definitely we are basically will leverage public 5G for enterprise as well. I mean, I will open for discussion if there's interest to discuss about that a bit later. And then obviously at the bottom, we have seen through MCO, for example, where 5G being rolled out here in Malaysia as well as globally. There are claims that 5G frequency induced mutations, cancer, or even COVID-19, which is another misconception. Definitely, I mean, this is about frequency. We have microwave oven in the at home being used. We have a lot of devices generating frequency. What is harmful when it comes to frequency is the one that way high on the highest spectrum, like for example gamma ray, sun ray, X-ray, for example. Those are the high side of the frequency. I mean, we are still using at the low side of the frequency relatively compared to those frequency. So these are the non-ionizing frequency, which will not, alter your DNA, for example. And this type of frequency, yes, all the way to gamma ray, for example, will what they call alter your DNA. That's the one that is ionizing frequency, which is going to cause issues or things like cancer and mutation. So don't worry about that so much. I mean, there's lots of hypes going on in that, right? Okay, so I think I come to the end. Right on the dot, we have a couple of minutes to 10:40. I guess Puan Mai, I mean, maybe time for us to open up and then open for discussion or pick up the question and answer. Yeah.
Yes, Cik Hisham, thank you so much for such thought-provoking and, all the examples given for us that, for us non-technical people to actually get a clearer picture of what 5G is all about. Cik Hisham, we truly appreciate it. Cik Hisham, before we get the ball rolling, let me tell the audience that Cik Hisham has been kind enough. We did ask him if we should filter some questions, but he was like, no worries, he will take it all. So people, keep the questions coming, bombs away. But before I take up the question from the floor, I would like to ask my question to Cik Hisham. When you mentioned about the Atto phone and all, it does bring back memories. So it shows how young we are. So it's definitely true when, as Cheryl Crow mentioned, change will do you good. We have to be able to, adapt to changes and all. But how's the uptake? How's the take-up rate for 5G thus far? Is there any challenges when people want to deploy 5G in the country?
Sure. Thanks, Puan Mai. talking about challenges and take-up rate, whenever new technology comes in, as you have seen before, I mean, I've showed that every decade or every 10 years, there's new technology coming in. Obviously, when the new technology coming in, the cost is still on the high side. I mean, that's quite normal. So I think if you talk about challenges, I think I would say one of the challenges would be, how do we drive the cost, the overall total cost of ownership to be reduced? Of course, it takes many parties to do that, from technology partners all the way to the service providers, right? I mean, not just on the equipment. As I said, when new technology comes in, we'll be needing more and more skill set to be uplifted, and sometimes the scarcity of these professional services also contribute to the cost factor when we deploy the technology. Number one. Number two, if you talk about 5G, one of the key success factor is all about the use cases to be deployed. Obviously, we have the platform or the connectivity platform that serve all the features that we discussed just now. But then it means nothing if we cannot bring the right use cases or application to the user or to the industry. So this is basically a challenge. Because sometimes when we discuss with a bigger entity globally to bring the same use cases that they have deployed successfully in those countries, they can see that Malaysia is still quite small in terms of market contribution. So due to that, it will take some time for them to come down here and repeat the success stories globally to come to Malaysia. Number one. Number two, we still see that there's some lagging in terms of 5G native devices for IoT, for example. But then we start to see that happening late this year. And I think coming next year, we can see more and more 5G native sensors coming into the industry for mine. Yeah.
Thank you, Cik Hisham. Okay, so I'm going to start reaching out to the floor now. We've got quite a number of questions now, Cik Hisham. Are you ready? Okay, sure. Okay, the first one from Xiao Tik Dan So Tan, who I think he wants to know who he can contact to in regards to Cloud Alpha details.
You can always, there's a website that you can register, and then definitely someone will get back to you. Otherwise, you can reach out anyone that you know in Telecom Malaysia. Myself, for example, you can always reach out to me, and I can forward that to the right party in the organization. TM1, basically the enterprise arm of Telecom Malaysia. So anyone in TM1 will be able to help and assist you to come back and then discuss the needs, for example. So yes, I'm offering my name as well here in case there's another none of the that if there's no other contact today in this session. But then always you can reach out to the website and TM1 website, and then you can always register your interest there. Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you, Cik Hisham. Next one we have from Sui Seong Chong. Our product going to move to cloud-based. How are we going to host the server in data center? Maybe you can advise.
We have loads of data center in the country. In fact, TM1 basically having we have at least three tiers. Tier 3 data center. I think that's the highest you can get in Malaysia. And then, of course, we have plenty more throughout the country when it comes to lower tier data center. And not just that, I think when you talk about deployment like this, you'll be needing a lot of edge facilities. Edge facilities basically just like a small data center, but it's like close to your application throughout the country. So as I said, today we already have I think more than 10 edge facility that we can already offer the services to the user, to the enterprise. Yeah.
Okay, Cik Hisham. Next we have from Anonymous. Assalam, Cik Hisham. Thanks for sharing your expertise and way forward in 5G reshaping the industry. How do you foresee the most hindrance for SMI to implement all this in Malaysia? What is the way forward for us?
Sure. I think that's a good question. Definitely. I mean, technology like this, like 5G, for example, it should be meant for all, not just for a big industry. That I've shared a bit on the big industry just now. It should go to all the way to the small and medium enterprise, micro, and so on and so forth, even to the individual to utilize the technology. So towards the end of the year, we're gonna have around 80% COPA or coverage over populated area on 5G. We need to leverage those coverage as we go to bring 5G functionality and features and capabilities to the user. Definitely, you can come back to the MNOs or operators like us, TM1, as well as Unify Mobile per se, to provide the services. We are offering now potential many services to the enterprise user for sure. Yeah.
Okay, Cik Shan. The next one we have is do we have use cases that require 5G slicing capability?
Definitely. I mean, network slicing is a feature, is a great feature for 5G. I foresee that coming next year, we start to see these services coming in. Obviously, you need to prepare the network readiness before we can offer the services to the user or to the industry. And this network readiness potentially will happen sometime next year. And when this happens, definitely you're going to see more and more use cases or applications that will leverage the public network with these network slicing capabilities or services. Things, for example, fleet management, mission critical, many others that would basically use throughout the country. And you don't do this over a dedicated network. You do this over public, but then you need to do this network slicing and leverage the public network per se. So to answer that question, network readiness has to come first. This is happening next year. And definitely the use cases and application and services will come in together.
Okay, noted, Cik Syam. Another question. What is the differences between 5G network and 5G in 5G HB in Wi-Fi?
Oh, okay. I think that's one of the most what they call confusion so far. Okay, 5G. When we talk about 5G today, this is about 5th generation of mobile, right? We can see that we have first generation, as we said, out to 450, then second generation, the GSM days, third generation, the 3G, and then fourth generation is the LTE. And then we have 5G coming in after 4G. So that is the 5th generation of mobile. When it comes to Wi-Fi, when people refer to Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi has two types of spectrum. This is on an unlicensed spectrum. We have 2.4 gigahertz. And then we have 5 gigahertz coming in at a later stage in Wi-Fi series. So 5G in Wi-Fi is about 5 gigahertz spectrum that being used for Wi-Fi. But 5G discussion that we have today is more on the 5th generation of mobile that is called 5G. So it's actually 5th generation of mobile. So indifferent to Wi-Fi, when you discuss about Wi-Fi, 5G is all about the differentiator between 2.4 gigahertz spectrum and 5 gigahertz spectrum, which people shorten it to 5G. So I think that's the confusion that is happening, especially among the users. Yeah.
Thank you, Jisha. I think I also got confused there. Thank you for the question and for the answer, Jisha. Okay, next we know that TM is currently a pioneer in providing 5G private network in Malaysia. What is the strategy of the company to maintain its position in this very competitive industry? Shabani, the question comes from Shabani Ahmad.
Thank you. I will say this. Normally, we leverage on what we have. I think one of the differentiator when it comes to Telecom Malaysia is all about resources that we have throughout the country, especially people. Uplifting existing workforce would be a differentiator for us. I think the presence in the states or the region is very key for us to ensure mission critical, production critical, especially for the industry, 5G, private 5G, for example, intact in terms of service availability and so on and so forth. So without presence in the state or in the region, I think it's going to cause some issues. So that's one of the differentiator, I would say. And also talking about asset, Telecom Malaysia, we are having, as I said, I mean, from the previous era, when we survey, when we providing the plain old telephony ports, for example, to the houses and to the industry, we have these brick and mortar exchanges, more than hundreds of those brick and mortar exchanges that we are repurposed and turning this facility into edge facilities. So when it comes to 5G, definitely this is going to be very, very key and important for industry to have, as I said, to bring content services closer to the user or to the industry. So I think that's another differentiator when it comes to Telecom Malaysia. Maybe I stop there for my.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Cik Syam. We have a question from Dr. Navanitan C. Arjuman. How big is the 5G deployment in Malaysia? Maybe this question is an extension of my earlier question, Cik Syam.
Sure. Okay, the plan, I think today, okay, we can check this. I mean, if you go to DNB website, you can even see the current coverage of 5G in Malaysia. DNB is Digital National Berhad, who's been mandated by the government to deploy 5G radio. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, today we have more than 70% COPA. COPA stands for coverage of populated area. And I think before end of the year, we are targeting 80% of COPA, or 80% of coverage of populated area in the country. So that's where we are and where we're going to be by the end of the year for mine.
Thank you, Cik Syam. From Seong Kiat Saw, he asked two questions. The first one, for private 5G and IBS, internal building solution implementation, we as NPN user need to deal with telco directly. The industrial party and telco will discuss the business case and investment. He would like to get the concurrence on that. And the second question is, what is the telco role in private 5G or IBS, and to what extent do they cover?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me re-clarify the terminology here. That's two terminology that we have heard just now in that question. One is the IBS or short form for in-building solution. Okay. Another one is private 5G. Okay. There's some similarity, and then there's some distinct difference there for mine. If you talk about IBS, okay, for everyone understanding, when we deploy mobile, first, normally, this is coming from the legacy. I mean, during 2G, 3G, and 4G, what the industry built basically provide coverage for the outdoor. And then for the indoor, definitely you need to bring what the gentleman or someone just now said, IBS, or the in-building system. This is for the reason that the outdoor coverage couldn't penetrate to the indoor, and you need to have a system built, and normally this is shared among the operator, because you can have a common infrastructure for the indoor in IBS, and then share among the operator, because otherwise it will be very costly for each and every one operator to build or MNOs to build. Okay. that's one. When you talk about private 5G, it's a little bit different. Private 5G normally an end-to-end design or solution that you bring to the area to serve very specific use cases. When we talk about in building just now, from the legacy, as I said, mainly up until 4G to address for consumer or whoever using mobile phone in the public mobile services inside the building. But if you talk about private 5G, it goes a step higher, further. That will serve, as I said, the industrial requirement on 5G, meaning that you are bringing in more or less data-centric kind of use cases to the area. So when it comes to that, normally when it comes to private 5G, with that definition, a single entity will bring that and then provide the services to the owner of the building or industry. For example, in this case, oil and gas, factories, or even ports. Just now, that's the example on private 5G. IBS for in building has been built with the single wholesale network policy. Is being built by DNB, and then obviously we have a forum to discuss on the next coming building and things like that among all the operator that's onboarded DNB per se. So this forum basically address which are the buildings coming in for the IBS. Yeah. So always refer to the MNOs or operator, and the operator will have this forum to discuss together with DNB today when it comes to IBS or in building. I hope that answered your question. I know it's a bit lengthy, and I mean to discuss on that.
Okay. Thank you, Jisha. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, I will go through last two questions, Jisha. But the rest of the question, we will still try to answer you separately, maybe through emails and all. So the last two questions, I have this one. What will be needed to boost adoption rate of 5G private network for enterprises?
Sure. I mean, I think that's also the question or task that we are taking in this year, next year, and so on and so forth. Okay, as I said, one of the pain points when it comes to industry adopting 5G, one of them basically the lagging of the adoption when it comes to the 5G native sensors and so on and so forth. And also in some cases about feature of 5G, sometimes for ports, we have to have a specific features that we need. So what we are doing today, we are creating an innovation lab, and also even private 5G lab in Cyberjaya, in case of Telekom Malaysia. I think others are doing something similar. In fact, the MB also doing something similar in terms of showcase the capabilities of 5G. So what we are doing now in the private 5G lab, per se, in Cyberjaya, we are basically bringing in more and more real use cases to be integrated to private 5G. Try to drive from the perspective of providing the what they call the environment for 5G for this industry to come in, all the ecosystem to come in and do testing and so on and so forth, to integrate their use cases into private 5G domain. And then we are also even pressing up to the network level in terms of the network feature that require in some cases, which is different from one and another. So this type of drive we are doing, I mean, it's all about collaboration. If you talk about 5G, before we have LTE, 3G, and so on and so forth, as I said, more on the consumer, to address the consumer. But then when it comes to 5G, you need to have good collaboration among the industry, ecosystem for 5G, use cases ecosystem, and so on and so forth. So I think collaboration is the key word here to co-create, what is needed on 5G for mine.
And the last question of the day, I'm sorry everyone, but we really have to go with the last question for now. What's your thought on the 5G dual network? I see a few of the similar questions on this, so I think it's a popular question. So I hope to wrap up this session with this popular question, Hisham.
Sure, upon my, I mean, I think everyone aware that we are transitioning from a single wholesale network to dual network. Obviously, I think it's a good move, personally, as dual network will ensure another redundant fuzzy network in the country. I mean, yeah, and then from both perspective, from uh, country, what you call safety, as well as from the point of view of having more competition, and then maybe for that reason it will help us to have a better what you call services throughout the country for mine.
Thank you so much, Hisham. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions. It shows that the topic is very interesting, and we have like such a long list of questions, Hisham. Thank you so much again from Bursa Malaysia and from PLC Transformation Program team. Um, to the rest of the audience, we also have this QR code if you're interested to view, download our guidebooks. We have 5 guidebooks altogether. It is available on Bursa website. We are trying to keep it a live document so you can get an updated information from the guidebooks to as a guideline, as a toolkit for your enterprise. Again, that's the end of the session. I thank Encik Hisham and TM team again for such an enlightening session this Friday morning. And we hope to see you again in our next webinar series in 2024. Have a good day, everyone, and have a pleasant weekend ahead. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for having me, Puan Mai. Have a good day.
Bye.
Sometime, give me some time to get stronger. I'll be okay. Just give me a little bit longer. Yeah, we're gonna win the struggle we're in. It's never goodbye. It's never goodbye till it's over. No, that's your I was so crazy that she just come back to you. Let's never do what we used to. Even with the same season without play. I'll take you. So come back to me. I hope you're all good. I hope you're all good where you are now. It's probably too late, but here I am, reaching my arm out. I want us to win the struggle with. It's never goodbye. It's never goodbye till it's over. Oh, that's it. Just go back to I hope you're still with